Let me ask you something, and I need you to be brutally honest with yourself. When was the last time you woke up and didn't immediately feel like something was wrong? Not sick, not hungover, just that heaviness, that weight pressing down on your chest before your feet even touch the floor, that feeling of dread when you realize you have to do this again, another day, another week, another month of the same thing that's slowly hollowing you out. You've told yourself it's normal. Everyone hates Monday. Everyone watches the clock. Everyone fantasizes about quitting. Everyone numbs out on the weekend just to survive the week. But what if that's a lie? What if the exhaustion you feel isn't laziness? What if the emptiness isn't depression? What if the reason you can't make yourself care anymore is because your body already knows what your mind won't accept? Something is deeply wrong, and it's not you. Researchers at the World Health Organization officially added burnout to the International Classification of Diseases in 2019. They defined it as chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. Not personal weakness, not character flaw, workplace stress. The job did this. A 2022 Gallup study found that 44% of employees experience daily workplace stress, the highest number ever recorded in the history of their research. Nearly half the workforce wakes up feeling exactly what you feel. You're not broken, you're not alone, you're not imagining it. But nobody tells you that. Instead, they tell you to be grateful. Millions of people would kill for your job. At least you have a paycheck. At least you have stability. At least you're not struggling. So you swallow it. You push through. You tell yourself you're being dramatic. You scroll through job listings at 11 p.m. but never apply, because what's the point? Every job looks the same. Every company says the same hollow words about culture and family and growth. And every morning that weight is still there. Here's what's actually happening inside you. Your nervous system has two modes, action and recovery, fight or rest. Your ancestors used the action mode for short bursts, hunt the food, escape the predator, handle the crisis. Then the recovery mode would take over and rebuild everything that got depleted. That rhythm kept humans alive for 200,000 years. But your life doesn't follow that rhythm anymore. You wake up and immediately the inputs begin. Notifications, emails, messages. The world wants something from you before you've taken a conscious breath. Then work. 8 hours minimum, but never really 8 hours. Because there's the commute, the getting ready, the decompressing afterward, the emails that follow you home, the Slack messages that don't stop, the expectation that you're always available, always responsive, always on. A 2021 study from the American Institute of Stress found that 83% of American workers suffer from work-related stress. 83%. That's not a problem with individuals. That's a problem with the system. But the system doesn't change. You're just supposed to manage it better. So you try. You download meditation apps. You optimize your morning routine. You set boundaries that get ignored. You practice self-care that feels like another task on your to-do list. And none of it works. Because you're applying band-aids to a wound that needs surgery. The exhaustion you feel isn't just physical, it's layered. There's mental exhaustion from the decisions. What to wear, what to eat, how to respond to that email, whether to speak up in the meeting or stay quiet. Researchers at Cornell University found that the average person makes about 35,000 decisions per day. Every single one costs cognitive energy. By noon, your brain is running on fumes. There's emotional exhaustion from the performance, the fake smile for customers who treat you like dirt, the nodding along in meetings you know are pointless, the pretending to care about company goals that mean nothing to you. The Journal of Occupational Health Psychology found that emotional labor is more draining than physical labor, but nobody pays you for it. Nobody even sees it. There's psychological exhaustion from the uncertainty. Job security doesn't exist anymore. The Bureau of Labor Statistics shows the average person will hold 12 different jobs in their lifetime. Your stable job is statistically temporary, and somewhere in your body you know that. So you're always slightly anxious, always slightly braced, always running a background process that monitors for danger. Physical, mental, emotional, psychological, 4 tanks all running empty at the same time. And people wonder why you're tired. But here's where it gets darker. The same system that emptied those tanks is the one calling you lazy for being empty. The same companies that demand constant availability run wellness seminars about work-life balance. The The same culture that eliminated pensions and job security shames you for feeling anxious. The same economy that requires two incomes to afford what one income bought 50 years ago asks why you're so stressed. A 2023 Harvard Business Review study found that worker productivity has increased 62% since 1979, while wages have only increased 17.5% when adjusted for inflation. You're working harder than any previous generation for less reward. That's not opinion, that's math. And when you feel crushed by that math, you're told the problem is your mindset. You need more gratitude, more hustle, more morning routines. That's not advice, that's gaslighting. You're not lazy, you never were. You're depleted, there's a difference, a massive one. Lazy means having energy and choosing not to use it. That's a motivation problem. Depleted means having no energy left to choose with. That's a systemic problem. You're not avoiding hard work because you're weak. You're avoiding it because there's nothing left to give. The system took it all and blamed you for being empty. So what do you actually do with this? First, you stop blaming yourself, not as feel-good affirmation, but as accurate diagnosis. The exhaustion makes sense. Your response to an impossible situation is not a character flaw. Second, you protect what little recovery you can get. Phone in another room when you sleep, 5 minutes in the morning before inputs begin, one transition per day where nothing is asked of you. These aren't luxuries, they're survival strategies. Third, you get honest about what's actually draining you. Sometimes the exhaustion responds to boundaries and rest, sometimes it doesn't. Because sometimes the source of the drain isn't something you can manage, it's something you have to leave. The job that's killing you won't stop killing you because you meditated more. The situation that's breaking you won't improve because you adjusted your attitude. Some exhaustion is a signal that something has to change. Not your habits. Your circumstances. That's not failure. That's your nervous system telling you the truth. Here's what I want you to do right now. Go to the comments and tell me one thing that's been draining you that you've been afraid to say out loud. One weight you've been carrying alone. One truth you've been swallowing. Name it. Even just here. Even just to strangers. Because naming it is the first step to putting it down. And if this landed somewhere real in you, don't stop here. Next video I'm showing you why the system is designed this way. Why keeping you exhausted isn't a bug, it's a feature. Why your depletion is profitable for people who will never know your name. Once you see the machinery, you can't unsee it, and you'll never blame yourself the same way again. You didn't find this video by accident. Something in you already knew the truth. You're not lazy, you never were. Now you're starting to understand why.